So this week, earlier in the week, I found out that next week I'm going to have a hard conversation. And I noticed that throughout my life, my entire life, whenever two things happen, my mind starts spinning. The first is if I have a conversation and there's something I didn't say that I wish I'd said, then all of a sudden my mind starts going like crazy over and over and over. No matter what it is I'm trying to do, my mind just goes over, keeps replaying that conversation. And then the other thing is when I know I got a hard conversation going up, all of a sudden my mind will start boom, 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 over and over, practicing, going through this conversation. This has been going on my whole life. And I have thought of this as a detriment, something that gets in my way. And sure enough, this week, when I was looking to put this talk together for you, every time I started my walk to do the talk, instead what would happen unconsciously was I would start playing out the conversation I'm doing next week. So since this has been going on my whole life, I've learned that if I meditate, I can get it to stop. But as soon as I stop meditating, it comes back. I can wait until it plays out, because what I've learned about life in general is everything plays out, right? Sooner or later, everything, including our lives, dissipates. And so I've gotten really good at that piece. But I didn't have a lot of time. I needed to put this talk together, so I needed a new strategy. And I thought this time what I do is talk about my spinning. Right? I'd make that my talk, and the funniest thing that happened is as soon as I did that, I said, I'm going to talk about this thing that I've been holding as a detriment all my life. It stopped. It shifted, it changed, right? Transformation, because I was willing to transform with it. And that got me thinking about, is this really a detriment? And then I realized that same spinning that goes on is the exact trait that lets me prepare my talks for you guys. I don't write them out. I keep practicing them all week long. It's the same trait. It's what allows me to come before you and give talks that I've been told are pretty powerful. The same trait that I was holding as a detriment. And so once I thought of that, I started thinking about, wow, I wonder how many times we hold something in our lives as a detriment that's actually something that is our gift. It's not just me. And so I was watching this TV show called The Good Doctor. And it's about this artistic guy who wants to be a surgeon. And in the first episode, the whole board is like, there's no way we're hiring this guy. He's autistic. He sees everything in black and white. He has no gray nuance at all. This won't work. It just won't work. And the president of the hospital is like, give him a shot. I know him. I know he can grow. Give him a shot. And so they do, and there's this scene in the operating room where everybody realizes that the thing that they held for him as a detriment, his ability to only see in black and white, was exactly what made him a superstar as a surgeon because of his precision and his ability to see. That the exact thing that sometimes we hold as a detriment can be the thing that allows us to shine. Now, I know that's just a TV show, right? But I've seen this in my own life. And the thing I've noticed about it is a lot of it has to do with who I'm with. There's this great story about this dad who gives his daughter a beat-up car. Maybe you've heard it. And he tells the daughter, go to the used car dealership and see what they'll give you for it. So she goes to the used car dealership and they say, we'll give you $1,500 for it. Comes back, tells the dad. Dad says, okay, now I want you to go to the car dealership and see what trade-in value they'll give you for it. And so she goes there and she comes back and says, well, they said $2,500. And then he said, okay, now I want you to go to the car show that's happening next week. Show it to them and see what they'll give you for it. And she comes back very excited because they offered $75,000 for it because it was a classic. And he said, the point of the story is you are valuable. Don't hang out with people that don't think you are. Be with the folks who know your value. There's this Rumi quote, the wound is where the light gets in. But I think of it differently. The wound is where your light shines out. The wound is where your light, our light, shines out. And finding where that works best is really good. When I was in Burbank, they hated the way I dressed. They would give me crap about it every week. And I tried. I even bought a jacket at one point, and it just was so uncomfortable. Right? It was not the place that valued me. Here is. You know, that's the thing, finding the place that values. I've experienced this, right? When Ash and I were kids, we both went through this whole thing on being too much, being told we were too much all the time. You're dimmed down, man. You're being too much. I can't be. In fact, there was this time, I got a brother who's 13 years younger than me. When he was in college, his freshman year, he wanted to come to New York for the summer. I had an apartment business. I set him up in one of my apartments, and he was coming over, and we were hanging out every day. And I'm sitting with my dad, and I'm going, oh my God, he's so hyper. And Dad looks at me with these huge eyes and goes, he's hyper? You have no idea. And so my dad clearly thought I was too much. Ash went through this too. And then, so we then developed careers and ways of being in the world where, when I was selling insurance, I was running around the building so much that the owners couldn't take it anymore, but I was selling so much insurance they didn't want to fire me, so they bought me my own building. And then I realized if I'm on stage, Ash went into theater, this is the place you get to be too much. Right? This is where you get to really shine and get your passion and be there. You want to find what those things that other people are saying are a detriment to where they're not, because there is a place they're not. I have learned this. You have power and presence in those things that you might see as a weakness. They're not. There's something there that's your gift. That's your power. That's your presence that you can bring forth into the world. You know, another thing that supports my talks is that I hate doing paperwork. The fact I hate doing paperwork has made me much stronger. You know, imagine if I was here looking at notes all the time. I'd be looking down like this. I wouldn't be as present with you guys. You know, my ability that I develop because I don't do paperwork is I'm able to be so present with you. I could have seen it as a detriment and gone, oh, I got to get better at paperwork. Instead, I thought, I want to be like this with you guys. Be able to be so present, so forward. Each of you has this. If you got anything in you think is a weakness, start looking at the fact that that's a strength. And you'll find what it is. And if somebody else is telling you it's a weakness, find other people to be around. Those aren't your people. Anybody telling you that you got a weakness, those are not your people. I know this because everything I've ever been told is a weakness has turned out to be my greatest strength. That's how it's worked out for me, and that's how I know what I'm saying to you is accurate. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with death to the point where I was driving everybody crazy because I was talking about death all the time. And they thought, we got to take this kid to a psychiatrist, right? Because all he's talking about is death all the time. And then when I was 28, I found that First Nations saying around wearing death on your shoulder and how it can guide your life. How you can use death and knowing your own mortality as a way of making sure you're using your time well. So I started doing that. And I would not stand for doing anything that wasn't worthwhile for me in terms of living. And that's what led me down the path that led me to you. I woke up this morning with absolute certainty that getting up before you today is totally worth my time. That this is how I get to spend my life. And I'm thrilled with it. I am thrilled with how I get to spend my life. But I had to make a stand for that. And a lot of times people were not happy with the stand I was making. But I think a lot of folks walk around thinking they're immortal. Thinking they got all the time in the world to do whatever it is that they think they want to do with their time. I have been lucky enough to stand by what everyone thought was a detriment to guide me to be here with you in this way. The light, the wound you have, is not just where the light gets in. It's where your light is coming out. Every one of you gets to shine. We get to shine in life, not just have it be okay. We get to shine, just the way Ash did in front of all of you today. She's made that stand in her life to get to that place where she could walk and cross that threshold. What threshold is there for you to cross? I love you all so much. And what I know for each and every one of you is your presence, your power, the light that is shining through. Don't let anybody tell you about your weakness. Don't let yourself tell you about your weakness. Right? You hear your mind spinning, that's a weakness. Go, wait a minute, there's a strength here. There is something powerful here. There is something here that will allow me to shine and have a quality of life that is beautiful. We're talking beautiful. I know that for each and every one of you. I love you. Thank you so much.